Hi, everybody. We are back. Thank you for staying with us for this long. It's been an awesome, fun-filled day and just a lot of learning. And we're so happy that we have Jerry Helms with us here. I remember last year when she was here, I had to go back and rewatch her session just to take more notes. So I have a feeling you're going to be learning a lot and going back to her videos a couple of times. So I'll do a quick introduction. So Jerry Helms is the VP of Digital Marketing and Analytics at HarperCollins. Excuse me, give me 1 second. I've been talking all day. At HarperCollins Christian Publishing. So Jerry has led the digital marketing efforts in various roles for HCCP for more than 12 years. In 2013, she was named the Senior Director of Digital Marketing for the Thomas Nelson and Zondervan Bibles Group, where she managed an email list of more than 2 million consumers, developed and engaged Facebook group of over 100,000, and implemented analytics, advertising, and metadata optimization strategies. In 2018, she was chosen to lead the newly formed marketing operations teams, which acts as a centralized marketing consulting group for teams across HCCP and HCF. So this team consults on best practices for email, search engine optimization, website development, analytics, and ad campaigns. Jerry also sits on the SEO Global Council for HarperCollins' parent company, News Corp. So clearly she is more than qualified to be doing this presentation, and we cannot wait to learn from you, Jerry.
Oh, thank you. All right.
I'll remove myself. We look forward to hearing your presentation.
All right. Well, I will start the presentation, and you can let me know if you can see the screen okay. Think we're good? All right.
Yes, we're good.
Thank you. All right. So what we're here to talk about today, for those of you who were here last year, pretty much did a deep dive into SEO and why it matters, and just a little bit of education around what search engine optimization is and why we should care about it. So instead of going back through something like that this year, I am going through SEO tips for Pinterest and YouTube and ways that you can leverage that to gain more traffic into your website. So what we're going to cover here today is, or at least what I hope you walk away with, is just a general understanding of how Pinterest and YouTube can benefit your search engine strategies that you have, and helping people to discover all the great content that you're taking the time to write. I also hope that you will find an appreciation for keyword research and how it can not only help you with your online efforts, but also in your writing efforts and the development of content. And then I'm going to give you a quick list of tools that you can leverage, both free and paid. And I hope that by the time I'm done today, you are feeling inspired to leverage all this great information that we're going to cover. So I think last year we talked a little bit about search intent, and that most searches fall into the 4 categories that are listed here. It's kind of the I want to know, I want to go, I want to do, I want to buy categories, which can be broken down into informational, navigational, commercial, or transactional. So it's really important to remember that Google processes search intent. And as we talk briefly about YouTube and Pinterest, I'd like you just to remember that content tends to live longer in these 2 spaces. When you're in Facebook or Instagram, etc., things are in the feed for a short period of time, and then it starts to get pushed down and buried. But on YouTube and Pinterest, like, this content is going to live a lot longer. So we want to try to develop copy and content for these 2 platforms that cover frequently asked questions or provides really good answers to what searchers want, right? So if we think about it, search results are displayed for any query based upon what Google interprets to be the searcher's intent. it's not necessarily so much about the actual keyword being searched as it is about the meaning behind the search. So this is really important to keep in mind as we think about keywords and phrases. We want to think about and understand how intent will influence your keywords and the possible searches for those phrases. So thinking about our social media user base is continuing to grow, and it's more representative of the broader population. Young adults, of course, were among the earliest social media adopters, and they continue to use social at these high levels. But we shouldn't count out usage by older adults because that has really increased in recent years. So what I've attached here is the latest Pew Research report on the growing share of Americans who are using all these various social channels. And you will see YouTube at the top up there with 81%. And you'll see Pinterest at 31, which is staying pretty steady with a slight rise. So it's still growing steady, but YouTube and Facebook are continuing to dominate. But YouTube is the one with the most statistical growth in this particular area. So, interesting fact about YouTube. For most of us, it probably feels like it's been around forever, but YouTube was founded in 2005. So it wasn't that long ago, and it was by veterans of PayPal, believe it or not, and then it was purchased about a year later by Google. So that gives Google control over the top 2 search engines that are out there. So Google is number 1, YouTube is number 2. It is the second largest search engine. And I've given some statistics up here for you, just so you have a little bit of data about YouTube. And I think it's also something like more than 2 billion logged in users every month for YouTube, and just over 1 billion hours of video watched every day in feeds. That's just crazy. And I'm not kidding, it's billions of hours of video that get watched. So about 500 billion emails videos get consumed every day. And video marketing here, as I've listed, can get very expensive. So when we are doing that, we want to make sure that we're really trying to rank organically as best we can for what people will be searching for around the books and topics that you're working on and writing about. In fact, blog posts with video have about a 53-time higher chance of ranking on page 1 of Google search results. So definitely something to think about in your writing and with your blog posts. This is the most recent user demographics for YouTube. And if you're kind of looking over here, you can see it's pretty equal male, female, slightly more male than female. But you can see that it's continuing to rise and is anticipated to continue to rise in popularity and video viewers. So here are a few more YouTube viewer demographics. The reason I'm showing you these demographics is because it's really important to know your audience. And it's important to know who's on YouTube. There's a lot of research out there, but what charts like this don't tell you, I mean, you look at these and you're like, oh, okay, this is my audience, I should be going after it. Like, for example, Gen Z, people ages 7 to 22, are most likely to watch videos on social media. The 2 most popular platforms for them are Instagram and YouTube. 62% of Gen Z uses YouTube every day. And with ongoing advancements in mobile technology, more and more of these videos are being watched on smartphones. In fact, nearly all Gen Zers own a cell phone, which is crazy. In the past year, about 70% of millennials have watched YouTube to learn how to do something new or to learn more about something they're interested in. And I think it's 45% say a YouTuber inspired them to make a personal change in their life. And video is just playing a huge role in their purchasing decisions, with nearly 23% of millennials stating that after they've watched a video, 23% of millennials are using video sites to research their products. And then 85% of those are going on to buy products after watching the videos. So that's really substantial, right? And compared to baby boomers, millennials are then even 150% more likely to use video when they comparison shop. So thinking about some ways that you can influence YouTube. A major benefit of uploading videos to YouTube is having the immediate indexing by Google. There's no wait time for bots to crawl it, no need to submit a new video sitemap. It automatically gets indexed by Google. And when you combine this with Pinterest, which we're going to talk about next, when you pin a YouTube video, you automatically create a backlink to your YouTube channel. And that's really powerful for search engine optimization, because the more backlinks from trusted sources that you send to your YouTube channel, the more YouTube will raise your rankings and the better you're going to search. So thinking about this, think about your keywords, how you title your videos. How did you title your channel? What did you call your playlist? And even thinking about how you name the actual file that you're going to upload to YouTube. Very, very important that you put the keywords in those. 90% of top ranked videos have a target keyword in the video title. And you want to make sure that that's in the actual file name as well. Really good descriptions are going to have at least 250 words. And in fact, 75% of the top 20 YouTube results have a broad match variant in that video description. And I highly recommend that you take the descriptions that you write, read them out loud to yourself, to your neighbor, to your friends, and make sure that it sounds like we're writing for humans, right? Sometimes we go back and we read copy that we've written and we have a tendency to fill in the words for ourselves. But when you actually read it out loud, you will catch more errors than just reading it silently to yourself. Also, when you're uploading video, think about uploading a transcript and make sure that the keywords are in there and that you're talking about them in the actual video so that they are in the transcript when you upload it. And then you also want to think about adding keyword tags to help YouTube categorize your video. And there's other things you can do with the keyword tags here as well. So thinking about keyword research when you're naming or doing things for YouTube, autocomplete is a quick, easy, free way for you to do this. Go into YouTube, start to type in keywords that you're looking for, and Google's going to autocomplete, and most of those searches that come up are going to be more long tail, which is what we want, but it's also going to serve you the most popular of what people are searching for, and that's important for you to know. You also want to look at what your competitors are doing on YouTube. What have they ranked well for? How did they tag their videos? There is a tool called vidIQ, which is a keyword research tool specifically for YouTube, but you can also use things like Google Trends, and then there's a place in there for you to put a YouTube filter on. You can filter by country, different things like that. I've also, at the end of this presentation, there is a suggested list of tools for you, but there's also another little quick, easy way when you're looking at your competitors and you want to know how did they tag their videos, because YouTube's not going to tell you that anywhere on their site, how someone has tagged that video. But if you go into one of those videos and you do like a view page source, you can go into your developer tools on your computer, look at the source, all the source code for that page, and then just go in and type in keywords, and it should take you right to all the different keywords that are on the back end of that video. So just a little tip on how to find things that are not readily shown to you. All right, diving into Pinterest. So Pinterest is a visual search engine. And as I mentioned before, definitely has a longer shelf life for your content. And I think that a strong Pinterest SEO strategy is one of the best ways to increase reach and drive for sales. In fact, SEO on Pinterest is arguably even more important than any other social media platform. And it's definitely global. 50% of users who are utilizing Pinterest live outside the US. I think about 85% are using Pinterest through the mobile app. and there's something like 240 billion pins saved on there. So it's arguably very important platform. And traditional SEO rankings are based upon technical factors, where Pinterest SEO rankings are based upon engagement and shares. And so that when those things are ranking, it's because people are finding that content interesting and they're sharing it with others. And Pinterest can really be a significant driver of organic traffic into your websites and other areas that you're trying to drive them to. So keywords, again, everything comes back to keywords, really drives exposure, and you have lots of room to use those keywords and be creative when you're leveraging Pinterest. So thinking about Pinterest demographics, I think Pinterest recently crossed like the 400 million monthly active users milestone. And believe it or not, men, 48% year-over-year growth on Pinterest. So where it was traditionally female, and it is still definitely skews female still, but male users of Pinterest have had a 48% year-over-year growth. And a lot of them are looking for creative inspiration, personal betterment in their lives, and of course, home upgrade ideas. But personal betterment and creative inspiration, these are areas where you as writers have a chance to reach men through the Pinterest channel as well. So as you can see here, Gen Z and millennials are driving much of Pinterest's growth. Gen Z is about a 50% year-over-year growth of people who are looking for social good, personal growth, a lot of beauty and wardrobe ideas they're looking for too, but personal growth, self-help, self-improvement, all very important to Gen Z and very popular on Pinterest. Millennials are showing about a 36% year-over-year growth, and they're looking for things like ideas of what to do with family, life skills, adjustment tips for school, and etc. So definitely check out, Pinterest has a blog, and they love sharing the type of data of what people are looking for, what's trending, what they're seeing picking up, who's using, what are they looking for. There's a lot of data there. So definitely go in and check out the Pinterest blog, check out some of their data on their site to see what's trending and where you can take advantage and jump on those trends. So here's some of the predicted trends that they put out last fall for what was going to be important in 2021. There's about 150-ish trends that were featured in the Pinterest Predicts information that they put out. And it's really focused in on showing how people are trying to take back control, take back agency, taking action for themselves, for their families, for their communities, and around the world. So I highly recommend, I have put the link in this deck so that it can take you right straight to that report, but highly recommend that you check out the Pinterest blog for that as well. So a couple of ways that you can influence Pinterest SEO. That's, and again, as I mentioned, I think a strong Pinterest strategy is really, really important. So think about the keywords that you're using in your descriptions, in the hashtags that you use there, even when you're building out your profile. Make sure that if you're driving to your website, that you're landing in the right place, that there's good quality there. Make sure your pins are good quality. And if people are engaging with you, are you active on there? Are you interacting with them? And again, think about topic relevance. Go back through those Pinterest trends and what people are looking for, and figure out how you can fit your topics into what people are looking for, and make sure and leverage the keywords of how they're talking about it on there within your content to help them find it. Because really well-crafted pins and descriptions always leverage keywords, and that's what we really want to do. And if you are selling books, etc., make sure that you have share buttons on the websites for people to be able to share it to Pinterest, to put your book on their here's what I'm reading board, or what's up next on my list, or recommended reading, etc. So think about making sure that you have those on your website as well. Now, I'm going to go in a little bit to finding the right keywords, and we talked about this a little bit last year, that Greg Gifford from SEMrush had said, without keyword research, our entire effort is effectively stumbling around in the dark. And it's true, because if we don't know what keywords people are looking for, then we're really self-serving in putting our content up. We want to make sure, how are people looking for this information? What is it they're looking for? And then it's our job to help them find the content that we're writing about. So here are 6 steps to finding the right keywords. So, we want to think about our end goal. What is it that our audience wants or needs that we can provide? What is their intent? Think back to those 4 types of search that we saw earlier in the presentation from Google. The I want to know, I want to go, I want to buy. Brainstorm some potential keywords that you think best fit the content that you've written or that you're trying to drive people to, and then use the keyword research tools to try to identify other questions. And questions can come in all sorts of various different forms. I think SEMrush has an awesome tool for topic research that tells you all the different questions people have. And there's other tools that have that too that are free, like Answer the Public and some other ones. But you kind of want to look at that, and aim to create content that's optimized to answer user questions and provide as much value as possible. So other ways we could do that, we can check out our competition. Who else is ranking for those particular topics, and what have they done well? What's converting for them that you can take learning from and take action from what you're seeing there? And then we want to think about the long tail. We talked about that a little bit last year, that, it's very, very difficult to rank for a single word or even sometimes 2 words. But the way people search now, they tend to search with more words because they know that there's a much better chance that they're going to get an answer to what they want. So we want to think past what's popular. We want to look at what's niche, right? If, for example, if we were looking for a camera, our next search, if you look in camera, it's going to bring up all sorts of results. If you're looking for a digital camera, still you're going to get a lot of results. But if you want a digital camera that's good for photographing birds, or a digital camera that's great for nature or outdoor or nighttime, that's going to give you more niche results. It's going to pare it down, and it's going to help you find what you're looking for a lot faster. And people have gotten very smart about how they search. And if you think about even your own behavior, you probably search with a lot more words than you actually realize. And especially with voice search rising, people are just asking questions like they would ask a friend into their phone when they're searching for different things. And that helps them find results faster too. So definitely think about that long tail. And then make sure you research those words in depth. And I'll give you, again, I've got a list of tools for you that I will share at the end of this presentation. So this here is just supporting what I mentioned earlier, that people are searching with more words than they used to. And you really need to think about your own behavior and voice search. Definitely don't want to miss it. But nearly 70% of search queries have 4 or more words in them. And it's just continuing to grow. So thinking about keyword tools, like honestly, in an ideal world, you would do your keyword research, make a beautiful table, create a beautiful landing page. Your site structure would be amazing. You could blog and write every day and make your search rate higher and higher in Google. But we know that it takes a whole lot more than that. So you need to take time to think about how to make your book, your article, your blog fit your strategy. And remember, we're all out here to write valuable content. And we want to make sure that that valuable content that we're writing makes it into the right hands so that it can change lives. And that's really, the ultimate goal, especially for this group. we want to make sure that, people find this great content that we're writing about so that they can find Jesus and change their life. So we want to make it rank, and we want to make it rank well. So you want to think about how these three circles come together, right? We want keywords that have high search that people are looking for, that don't have a lot of competition, hence the long tail, but that are relevant to what you're talking about. And if we can bring those three things together, we can come up with what that ideal phrase is that we want to rank for around that specific content. So here is a quick list of tools for keyword research. There's a lot of free ones in here, and even some of the fee-based ones have basic free features as well. But I do highly recommend utilize the free tools to get a hang of it. And then as you get more and more proficient, it may make sense to go a little bit deeper, and you may want to consider going into some fee-based tools. But most of them are really reasonable. And I think at this point, things like Keyword Surfer, Question DB, Answer the Public should actually give you some really good direction on search. Google Correlate and Google Trends are always favorites of mine. I'm always looking at those. And don't forget Amazon as well. I mean, Amazon is one of the top places online for people to buy books. So it doesn't hurt to go in there and look at how are people searching on Amazon. I know a lot of people don't consider Amazon to be a search engine, but it is utilized like that more and more. So especially during COVID, more and more people were going onto Amazon and just, searching and exploring and getting educated on products more so than they used to. It used to be go and buy, do your research somewhere else, but Amazon is cutting more and more into Google's space as far as people who are starting to use Amazon for search. So just something to think about there as well. And this is my information. Feel free. I'd love to have you connect with me on LinkedIn if you have any questions. Certainly feel free to reach out to me. There's my email address there as well. And I am happy to answer any questions that you all have.
Okay, so the chat, people are trying to write as fast as they can.
I'm sorry, I know it's a lot of information.
My goodness, they are just eating everything up. Everything is coming to be so helpful. So we have a couple of questions that are coming up. So for authors getting started on YouTube, what do you recommend that could bring value to readers? That's a good one.
Well, I mean, that's a really great question for people who are getting started there. I'm always going to bring it back to what are you writing about that people are looking for? And then how do you describe that video, title that video, get that playlist done, write that description so that they can find it? And that's really, again, that's where all your keyword strategies kind of come together. Mm-hmm. But I would also say that when you're thinking about YouTube, your goal is to capture attention immediately, because Google you start to see, like, even in traditional Google search results, video plays very high in there, right? Remember, YouTube's the #2 search engine, Google's #1, and they're both owned by the same person. So you're going to see a lot of that rolling up to the top there. But their choice of how to rank things in Google search are based upon, are people watching that video all the way through? Are you getting likes on it? Are you getting comments on it? Are people sharing it? So you really want to think about shareable content. Is that video shareable? Are you making it so that it's about the person who's receiving the content as opposed to about you? And that's really important. We really want to get grab people's attention immediately, because if they're not interested in that first like 5 to 10 seconds, they're out, and you're probably not going to get them back there. So that's definitely something to think about as well.
That's helpful. Thinking about how long you have people's attention for. When we were talking about the book covers, it was just 9 seconds. People make a decision on your book, looking at your book covers. So, 5 to 6 seconds, and thinking about your videos, really just that immediacy piece we really need to keep in mind.
Yeah, and it's the number one thing to kind of think about is, from your consumer's perspective, what's in it for me? And not what's in it for you who's putting it out there, but what's in it for me? Like, what am I going to get out of this? Why do I want to stay watching this video? Why do I want to stay on this website page? Why do I want to stay on this Amazon page and read more? It's all about what I'm going to get out of it, and what you're doing for me. That's what people are looking for. How are you going to change my life? What am I going to get out of this if I read it? What am I going to get out of this if I watch it? So really kind of think about it from that perspective.
Oh my goodness, that is so great. And you are reinforcing some of the lessons that we've been learning through this workshop. Lawrence was just talking about changing it from me to you.
Yep.
So yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So what schedule or amount of video posts would you recommend for increased traffic?
Well, I am not one of those people that believes posting more is better. I'm gonna always lean towards quality.
Mm-hmm.
How often can you post that it's beneficial to the user on the other end? And that's really the important part, is post according to your audience. When is your audience using those platforms? Right? Do the majority of your users watch videos on Tuesdays? If you send out an email on Monday, do most of them open it on Wednesday? Like, you need to pay attention to when your users are interacting, how long are they interacting with you, and really think about it from that standpoint. I am just not a firm believer that you have to post 4 times a day. If you don't have something to say 4 times a day, I don't want something that you're just putting out there to put it out there, to make sure there's something in the feed. Post as often as you have something valuable to say to the end user who's consuming your content.
And I just love the fact that it really continues to go back to the audience and what kind of experience you're curating for them.
Yeah.
So Luke is saying, are hashtags appropriate at the end of the description on YouTube?
Yes. I always think hashtags are appropriate if they're being leveraged across platform. So if you're talking about something on YouTube and you're talking about the same thing on Instagram, Facebook, etc., you don't want to use different hashtags for all of them. It's really important that if this is your hashtag for this book, use the same hashtag, across platforms. And dive in. There's a really great tool called Hashtagify. It's one of my favorites to use for that.
I'm just adding that to the comment. Hashtagify. Awesome. Let me just see. We have a couple more questions coming in.
Yeah, and if you guys have questions afterwards too, if they come up, feel free to send them over.
Cool. So we have from Eli, should you correlate your keywords so they match between your book, blog, and YouTube channel? And I think you just answered that across platforms.
Yes, definitely. But there are sometimes the way people search may be channel specific. So it doesn't hurt to make sure, like, is the way somebody's searching for your book content on YouTube, maybe you need to just maneuver things a little bit. Those core keywords are probably going to be the same, but the way they ask the question may be a little different. So pay attention to that. But yes, if you're talking about, the importance of faith and mental health, you want to make sure that those are the keywords that you're leveraging. If that's what your book's about, you want to make sure you're blogging about that and pointing people to your YouTube channel. Let the book, the blog, and the YouTube channel and the social media, let them all work together. It's really important that you think about it as more of a holistic effort with your books, blogs, and social media sites with those keywords, and that you're supporting content through all those various different channels.
It looks like somebody was asking if you can share your email again, please.
Oh, sure. It's just jerry.helms@harpercollins.com.
jerry.helms@harpercollins.com. Okay, just wrote that in there for everybody.
Yeah, I will. I'm gonna add one thing for the person who is asking about the book, the blog, and YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And this is really just a great piece of advice for everyone that is authoring a book. Please make sure that in your blogs, before, even before your book comes out, or if your book's already out, go back and do some of this, but make sure that you're showing yourself as an authority on this content, right? That you are writing about. It's really important if you're publishing a book that you have blog content out there, and that Google starts to see you as the person who, people want to see write about this, and that you have some authority, and they see that in your YouTube channel, and they see that in your Facebook, they see that in your blog articles, and other people are linking to you, and so on and so forth. You're showing yourself as an authority on that content, and it's going to help people discover your book more readily than if you publish a book and there's literally nothing online that shows you as any sort of an authority or writer about that topic. So it's really important to do that. I can't stress that enough.
And is that important if you're writing fiction or nonfiction, or is it just across the board?
I would say primarily for nonfiction.
Okay.
It's really important that you show some authority on that particular topic. It's a little more difficult to do that with fiction.
Mm-hmm.
So,
okay, great. So Jen's asking, for those starting out, would you suggest they start off on social media early before the book releases? She always encourages authors to begin day one on the page.
Yes. I encourage you to start as early as possible, especially if you have an audience that knows that you are an author and they already follow you. Take them through the journey with you. Hey, I'm starting to write my next book, and so on and so forth. Let them know that you're doing that. Let them feel part of the ride, because if they feel a sense of, hey, I've been on this ride with you, guess who's going to want to read your book, right? They've been through this. So I would say talk about it early and often.
Early and often. So we were talking about the no excuses, and one of the excuses that we were talking about was just people feeling like not being able to share or not wanting to share because maybe the audience wouldn't want what they have to offer. So how do they kind of get over that? Because I feel like this marketing piece is challenging for writers a lot because they feel like they're bothering the audience. So what are some tips that you can share for them to kind of get over that hump to even begin putting into practice all the useful tools that you've provided today?
So I want to make sure I understand the question specifically. So it's the no excuses of talking about your book?
And no excuses about just writing in general. And
writing in general.
With marketing, I know that we make a lot of excuses, like, we're afraid to share our content because what if we're bothering people? So we never get to the point where we're putting in the useful practices because we're just so kind of gung-ho, right?
Well, I guess what I would say is I think people need to think about marketing differently, right? I think you need to think about it as you're providing something special to people that hopefully is going to help change their life. So how do you talk about that without selling specifically, right? So can you share quotes? Can you share a story of what inspired you to write this? And, again, it's not about, hey, buy my book. Yes, we want people to buy the book, but if you're guiding them into the content, telling stories along the way, it's really about the storytelling, right? It's about how do you tell the story of this book, and why do I want to read this book, right? And so I highly recommend, again, if people feel like they're along on the ride with you, you know, that doesn't feel like selling. If I'm along on the ride, are you asking me questions along the way? Do you want to know what I think about it, or what I'd like to see you write about next? I mean, there's a lot of ways to involve people, but I think it's, you share, quotes from the book. You share short stories about why you chose to write whatever this chapter was about. Why? What inspired you for it? What's the story behind the story of why you wrote that? Like, those are things that people just love to feel like they're kind of in the know on the backside of it. And there's always ways to soft sell, and especially with blog articles and kind of blogging your way through, linking over to different pieces of writings that you've done. There's a lot of ways for people to discover it without you saying, buy this right now. I highly encourage you to tell the story and invite people along for the ride, as opposed to just putting up, a picture of a book with a price and a buy button, right? There's a lot of ways to do that.
Yeah, and I think after hearing your stats about videos, translating some of the written content to videos as well, just kind of connecting with your audience in the same way.
Yeah, and I would say, if you're a fiction writer, go look at some fiction on Amazon. Look at that A+. There's the A+ content is what they call it.
I just learned about that.
Right. So you want to think about that. I mean, that weighs very heavily on Amazon, right? If you're paying attention to Amazon SEO, that's something that's really, really very important, is that content down at the bottom. And if you look at how different people are doing things between fiction and nonfiction, how they're telling the story behind the book, how did I decide to write about, an airplane pilot landing in the middle of the desert? I don't know. Like, what inspired you to write about that? Was there something that happened in your life? And people love that on there. So I highly recommend, look at Amazon product pages for, people who are writing about similar things to you, and look for who's doing it well, and be inspired by all those examples.
I am so grateful. I know that the chat, there are so many people in there as well who are grateful. So Luke wanted to know, is there an easy way to get a transcript from the YouTube video that could be used in a blog?
Not that I'm aware of. Typically, you have to upload your own transcript, but there are services where you can get that. So I can't off the top of my head think of what those services are, but I can certainly, if you want to email me, I can find out what we use and let you know what that is.
Awesome. Oh my goodness. So good. People were, I can't even begin to tell you just I gotta take notes. I'm taking notes on this. Thank you so much. So I'm gonna just give you a couple of minutes if there are any closing thoughts. And did you say that the PowerPoint, would you be able to share that?
Yeah, I'll send that over to you guys, and you can send it out.
Okay, fantastic. So if we have your registration information, once we get Jerry's PowerPoint, we'll share that as well. Jerry, any closing thoughts that you'd like to share?
I guess I would just say, stay educated on Amazon. If you watch and you pay attention to what's trending, what's selling on Amazon, look at how people are writing. Watch those product descriptions. Look at the pictures that they're putting up. Again, pay attention to that A+ content. That's going to guide you a lot in what people are looking for. So definitely something there. And for those of you, I guess one little piece of advice I would give is, if you Google yourself and a knowledge panel comes up at the side of Google for you, please claim your knowledge panel. If you just, I could send you a link on how to claim your knowledge panel. But if you're actually coming up there, then Google is seeing you as an authority on certain topics already. Keep a watch out for that, because if you can claim that panel that shows people are looking for you, looking for your content, you'll be able to start seeding that with some of your videos in your books and your social channels. And that's just a little piece of advice I would give you if that's actually coming up for you. So,
okay. Did not know that. And also a tidbit that I took out was the source code. I look at the source code for other stuff, but I'm like, oh, duh, keywords, that would be so great.
That's like my favorite way to find out what competitors, what keywords they're using, is to dive into that page search. And it's not even that hard to do. I'm not a developer. I can, you know, it's pretty easy to go in there and find that. So,
oh my goodness,
it's a nice little tool.
So great. Oh, I can't even begin. This has been so helpful. Such practical tips that we can apply, and things that pretty easily, you know, you don't have to start with everything. You can just start with one thing at a time.
One at a time.
Yeah.
Just do one thing and do it well, and then expand from there.
Awesome. Thank you so much again, Jerry. I appreciate the time, and you're welcome back here every single year, because this audience loves you.
Oh, well, thank you. It was really great. Thanks for inviting me. I was happy to be able to be here.
All right, great. Thank you, guys. So
have a good weekend.
You too.
Bye.
Bye. So don't forget to stick around. It's 3:46 now, so go take a little walk break, do some jumping jacks, get some water. We will be back here at 4 o'clock, and I just want to make sure that, yep, we'll be back here at 4 o'clock on this same channel. So we're going to be looking at the basics of website analytics for authors with Victoria Lusting. So please stick around, and we will see you soon. And don't forget to share the content. All right, everybody. Talk to you later. Bye.